And we're live. Hi, this is Mike, and where am I today? I think I'm in San Francisco, out at Occipital.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I've got a special guest with me today, and that's Phil Nelson, who, I'll let him introduce himself. He's been on once before, and he's up against the brick wall. They put everybody behind the brick wall.
Yeah, literally and figuratively this week. Yeah.
So you'll have to speak up just a little bit for me.
How's that, better?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm Phil from Occipital. I've been here before. I do a lot of design and web development here, and many other things, but those are the big ones.
So one of the reasons that I thought I'd come out here is, one, to meet everybody. Sadly, Jeff couldn't make it. He's in your other office, which I believe is in Colorado. Is that correct?
Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so with that being the case, I am here with a few people, and it seems a little quiet today. Maybe it's the holidays, but maybe it's something else coming up. But we'll get to that in a moment. Obviously, you've got a lot of announcements, and I've been told I get some exclusives, so I really appreciate that. So let's kind of go into the first items. Let's see, what do I have today? I don't even have these in order. There we go. Well, obviously the main thing today is we've got CES coming up, and again, as in 2014, we have 3D printing taking center stage, and it looks like we're going to have some of the same people we've had in the past on. And let's see, we can jump to my screen here. There we go, and you should see it now. So essentially, from what I can see here, we're going to have Carl Bass, kick it off for this opening. I don't know exactly what time this will be. But essentially, they're going to be talking, obviously, about 3D printing and how the industry has moved forward. And I think he's also going to talk about the Spark platform, which we've talked about on several occasions. And so we're going to be looking forward to that. In fact, on the 29th of January, you can come back here, and I'll be doing an interview with Carl Bass. So that'll be really exciting and fun. I really like to know what he's up to. As you're probably aware of, he is a maker himself, so maybe we can take a look at it a little bit further. So please join me on the 29th, and I'll have a date up soon on that. The other person that I'm also going to be interviewing, probably the second or third week of January, is the new CEO of MakerBot, and that's Jenny Lawton. And I've heard through the grapevine that they've got some interesting things coming out at CES as well. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit, Phil. But so that's coming up, and there's a few others. Shapeway is going to be involved with this, and let's see, a couple of others. I think there's up to 10 people. But it'll be in the show link if you want to look at it. There'll be more information there. So let's kind of move on into the next item. Let's see if I got this right. What do I have?
Well,
okay.
We
go ahead.
Speaking of CES and Autodesk, we just I guess here's exclusive one. Occipital has a booth at CES this year.
Yeah, this is your first year.
This is our first year as having a booth, which has been it's really exciting, and it's been really hard to bring it all together because none of us have ever done this before. So, but it's really rewarding so far. One of our guys went ahead early. He's going to check out the booth as it stands right now, and make sure nothing horrible needs to be redone in like a day or whatever. But
if I remember correctly, who's that person?
Adam
Correct.
Rudnitsky, our director of marketing.
Before. In fact, he has been our most popular episode of 3D in Review for whatever reason. And maybe it was your birthday on that date, and people wanted to check it out.
Man, Adam just brings the ratings, I guess. he is the marketing guy. It makes sense.
So I was about to say, he is the marketing person.
Yeah. But one of the other things we'll be doing at CES is with our friends at Autodesk, we will be using Structure Sensor to 3D scan people over at their booth as well.
Very, very cool. So you'll have something to work with the
That's right.
Autodesk.
See, Autodesk's, I think, booth 72027,
Okay.
and Occipital's booth is 25405.
Okay. And you'll send me some links to put in the show notes.
Yep.
So then I can actually maybe go out to the map and draw those out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, our booth is going to be something special. We're putting together a one-of-a-kind, made just for the show thing. So, if anybody's going, I'd strongly recommend dropping by.
Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to make it out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go on to my next news item, and let's see what I've got here. Back to me. Okay, this is kind of interesting. I don't know if you're, we've talked about 3D audio in the past, and to me, we talk about everything 3D. So this looks kind of cool. They look a little large. And if you notice there, they've got off the left-hand side of that image there, they've got AAA batteries. And AAA batteries are, I'd say about that big. So these things are probably humongous. So
Yikes.
I guess if you like big cups, those are the ones to go with. And then look at it, it's got a nice control. But the thing is that these are all 3D rendered images. They've got a video that shows the 3D rendered packaging. I have not seen one in the wild, but they will be at CES. So if I get out there, I'll go by there and check them out. But as I mentioned previously in 3D audio, with VR, it's going to be very important to be able to know where you're at, not only visually, but also through an auditory senses. And there's many tricks that people have up their sleeves in order to do this. And again, we talked about it. So if you want to look back at it, later on, I'll talk about the shows in the can. We've got 3 of them over the holiday period that we did. One of them was with a great composer for a lot of video games. So I'll mention that again a little later. So that's that item. And Phil, you've got another item, right?
I do. More Occipital cool stuff, I guess. We released our first firmware update for the structure sensor, which is a big deal for us.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that go out?
Just this week.
And I missed it?
Must have.
Oh, man. Man, you'd think I'd have the inside loop. I guess I don't. Everything's even a surprise to me. But you know, it's kind of cool. It's funny. We're in Occipital, and I'm now getting an ad. So I'm going to jump to my next item. Speaking of scanning, this is kind of some interesting stuff that I thought was going on. It appears that there's an individual who's wanting to take 3D into the gym to scan your body. We'll go over in a moment. But look what's up on the top here. Looks like somebody's little ad there for the structure sensor with your new bracket. So hopefully, Phil, you can tell me that new bracket has another adapter on it. So maybe when we get to the next item. So let me finish up on this one. So it looks like they're creating a booth. Here's some images here that you walk into. It says, what is it, in 15 seconds you get a full body scan, saying using lasers and cameras. So it'll be very interesting to see what they're doing there. But what I thought was the most interesting is they think they can sell this for $5,000. Now I've done interviews with Artec, who's going to have a unit that's 50,000 plus, and then there's a company called Do out of Germany who's got a similar unit that can do it 1/100th of a second, but they're nowhere near the $5,000 mark. So I'm very curious how they're going to be able to do this for $5,000. I think it's going to be, I don't know, like a lot of things. Yeah, we'll get it out for $5,000. Next thing you know, it's twice that.
It'll end up being 10. That's
Well,
optimism kind of creeps into everybody sometime, I guess.
Yeah. Well.
But I mean, it looks like with this VFit, it looks like they're planning on selling it, to gyms, like not necessarily going after. Buy one to put in your house, but your gym location will have one, or you can ask your gym location when they're getting one or whatever. So, that even leads me to believe that it's kind of underselling themselves that they even bring it out for $5,000. Those gym fees are crazy.
Exactly. Well, a lot of these other locations, like I mentioned, Artec and the others are wanting to create something that you can put in grocery stores or something like that, and then send the file out in a couple of weeks, pick up your little 3D image. But, I'm a little concerned taking this into the gym. I haven't been in the gym for a little while, sadly, and that shows. And I don't know if I want to be scanned. And I've scanned my wife a few times. I haven't put myself under that scrutiny. But I don't know. Could be interesting.
I don't know.
We'll
It's
see.
demoralizing enough having my Wii U yell at me for not working out enough. I don't know if I could handle like a much more precise machine telling me how fat I'm getting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
Well, or looking at yourself.
Yeah, there would either be great motivation or just incredibly demoralizing.
So, Phil, I think you've got one more item. Well, actually, it shows blank on mine.
Yeah, I got nothing else for news.
Well, okay, so tell me, what is that adapter up on the top?
You're gonna have to wait and see for that.
What?
Yeah. Little more time needs to pass on that one, Mike. But you're not the only one that's noticed it.
Well, as you know, I build a lot of cases.
And yeah,
go through here in a moment. But I noticed that immediately. And I was one of your early prototype beta users, and I never got the real bracket. You think maybe today I could leave with one? I don't know.
Oh yeah, probably. I'm certain. If we have any. The problem with making hardware is you never have enough of your own hardware. Exactly. We joke about this all the time in the office because our customers have more of our stuff than we do a lot of the time.
Oh, I find myself in a similar position. I short myself lenses sometimes. Remember. Speaking of that, I finally got an ample supply of lenses now. So
oh, that's good news. I know you were having trouble sourcing those.
Yes. They're still a little expensive, but I can get them in volume now with more of a discount. But,
cool.
So, and I will push that discount on the used buyer. So let's see what else. Well, I've got a few things that I want to talk about today. And so we can do kind of a show and tell. I didn't bring it with me, and actually maybe I'll go back out to the website. Let's see, which one? Last week or 2 weeks ago, I talked about this product here. And man, can I say this is a wonderful product. Even though it shows it being applied to an orange surface, the actual color is clear. And it literally is a two-part epoxy. But I guess the viscosity is higher on this, or is it higher or lower? So it brushes on very cleanly. In fact, I've been using it to fortify the corners of some of my products. If you remember last episode, I created an elf that we did for our 3D printing and tutorial. Well, I used it on that and then painted it, and you may have seen it on, I tweeted the actual image later on, hung it on a tree. But yeah, it's a really nice stuff. It really smooths it out, and more importantly, it does provide a tougher surface to work with. And it's not that expensive. As you can see in the pricing here, it's pretty decent. What kills you is the cost of shipping. Shipping is almost just as expensive for it. But if you're nearby, as I mentioned before, get it. So I highly recommend this product, and I would go with it. So the next item I've got is another very, very cool product. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. And this is Polymax. Man, was this an excellent. It was a Kickstarter. I bought into it. That's why I'm printing all of my new prototypes out, and it is a very, very decent material. It's a PLA versus an ABS, but I will have to say it does appear to be stronger and with a little bit more flexing, and it prints very cleanly. These are probably some of my best prints. Very little sanding to do afterwards. I've just been very pleased with the results on it. And they don't have any, I've tried to shop here, maybe it's up today. It does appear. So here's their cost. I don't know if they carry the Polymax in something other than white. I sent in a request to figure out if they're doing black. But they also have this Poly Plus. I have to say that that's also good material, but it's more like ABS, a higher quality, sorry. More like a PLA with a higher quality PLA. But the one to really look at is this Polymax PLA for $49, well worth the extra cost there. And they also have Polyflex, which I'll probably report in the next couple of days. I haven't worked with that yet.
Yeah, the Flex stuff seems interesting, especially for, maybe some 3D print structure sensor purposes, like lens covers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've actually printed some covers out. with the flexible material, I found that I liked somewhat the rigidity.
Mm.
As I mentioned, I use a rubber spray-on material
Mm-hmm.
to provide a little bit more grip and prevent it from scratching it. But I did
Yeah.
see, I'll try it with this material and see how they come out. But I kind of like the more rigid form for the cover itself.
Yeah.
But that's just my preference, and everybody has different ones, and I'll just make whatever people want to buy. So that's essentially, oh, one other item. I'm going to plug them again because I really, really like this product. A couple of them. We have the Graffiti Noodle series. They make iPad covers, but what's neat about them is that they build in a tripod mount. So I don't know if you've ever done any scanning or tried to do any image taking, or in this case, let me see if I can pan my camera down to it.
Yeah, these are cool.
I'm using it for my show notes on my iPad mini there. See? So
Slick.
lots of versatility. I also use it. I created a mounting system with lights using this pad. And more importantly, the NEODiMOUNT will be using this particular pad, so you will immediately get a tripod adapter on the back of it. In fact, Phil, do you still have it over there?
I sure do.
Here,
Yeah. Here.
this is the actual iPad cover.
Oh, the cover. This guy right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here is another prototype with the NEODiMOUNT built into it, and the design is actually going to be punched and set out, but it's a very nice, it's kind of a fibrous material, which is really difficult to drill, so that's why I'm going to have to punch the holes. But other than that, it's really sturdy, and that's all I've been using for the last year, so I highly recommend it. But if you want to wait to get mine with the scanner, they're going to be available on the 15th of January. But if you're not into scanning and you just need something to support your iPad mini or iPad, including the iPad Air 2, I highly recommend that one. So with that being said, let's move on to my last item that I've been working with. If I can find it. Oh, let's see. There it is, the Grip and Shoot. I can't say enough about this. This is a really cool product. I have to say that one of my customers actually turned me on to this, Brian. Shout out to him. I was hoping he would be with us today, but he had a lot of work to do. But he's actually working on some VR stuff as well with the structure sensors, so it'll be really fun to talk to him at a later date. But I will bring it up again. It is physically a nice grip. It's lightweight, and what's not really identified, let me get to a better picture. If you can see, it has a bottom base, which is I'm going to include with the NEODiMOUNT, that hooks up to a tripod, or you can attach it to the base and also use the whole grip on a tripod. And then again, this attaches, and I'll show you that really quick. I've got it here. This is the new NEODiMOUNT case for the iPhone 6. It slides on just like this. And they also have a white version. Phil, do you have the white version?
I sure do.
Why don't you go ahead and show that?
What do you think? Ain't it pretty?
There we go.
It's got a nice weight to it as well. Like it's not heavy, but it doesn't feel cheap. And
yeah, it's well built. And,
yeah, the buttons are actually pretty satisfying to tap too.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I've been kind of nagging Nick to do something with this Connect software that uses it, and I should, cross fingers, have a beta version of my app available as well.
Interesting.
Next week that will have the button functionality. What I want to do with the scanning is provide the ability to scan and save without ever touching the screen.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have become spoiled with since I've been using my bracket system for some time is everything can be done with one hand. The problem is, oops, I put it on backwards. You can put it on either way, which is kind of cool. So if you're not scanning, it also acts, and there's an app that comes with it, and he's trying to get other people to develop with it, with this SDK. So if you use your iPhone or an iPad for taking images or video, great thing to run around with. And the buttons, you don't have to touch the screen, and that's why I want to move forward with it, because it's a one-handed operation, especially if you've seen some of my videos, you scan underneath the object, above the object. And two hands just doesn't do it for me. So you can do this. Sometimes, you may be at an awkward angle and need that hand to balance yourself, and you might find yourself on the phone or the floor, and your audience will laugh at you. Maybe not you, Phil, but maybe me.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
So that, I think, is about my items for today. So
Cool.
let me go into some upcoming events. Hey, the big one. The big one is CES. So, we mentioned that earlier on the show, Phil, but you're going to be at CES.
Absolutely.
So kind of talk about that a little bit more. You're going to be at booth number...
Occipital's booth is number 25405. We will, like I said, we are doing something really special that we've never done before, that never before seen. We'll be at CES. It's going to be quite an experience. I highly recommend anyone that's going, come check it out. If you're not going, you know someone that is, let them know, because it's going to be something that if they miss it, they'll be bummed.
So if you're going out to CES, I agree. Make sure that you head out to their booth. They won't even tell me what they're doing. I thought I was going to get exclusive.
Sometimes secrets need to persist for a little bit longer than you'd like.
Sounds like Apple.
Yeah. Well,
I could sit here and guess. Let's see. They're going to have an actual transporter. You're going to have a replicator. Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Oh, well, with that being the case.
You're not entirely far off, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, that sounds exciting. Well, what do they get besides getting a cool experience? Any free stuff? We all go to to fill up our bag.
We're not really doing a lot of swag, but there will be a custom one-of-a-kind takeaway that you'll be able to you'll be able to make for yourself after the show using what we do at the show. That's all I can say without giving it away, I guess.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting. Okay, well, CES starts on the 6th of January and runs through the 9th. Let's see, that's 6th, that's Wednesday, correct? So
Tuesday, I think.
No, you're right. Tuesday through Friday.
Yeah.
Of next week,
Will be.
It's coming up. In fact, Adam just left today to get
That's
there
right.
early to make sure that booth turns out correctly. So there's a few other things that let's see, I want to bring up. What we did last week, you can find them on our YouTube channel. We did, let's see, All Things 3D Presents, how to set up and print from your new FDM or FFF printer that you may have gotten under the tree. We used a Maker Gear M2, which has been around a long time. It seems to be my go-to printer now. I just put an all aluminum extruder on it, so it runs really well. And so we go through a whole demonstration and using a product called Simplify 3D as our slicer. But Simplify 3D does a lot more than that. It's well worth the cost. And then we also brought in Brad Hill from actually south of us, Santa Barbara, to come up and show off the little RP. And if you're not familiar with it, this is a very inexpensive. I think he's taking pre-orders now. It is a projector-based, DLP projector-based SLA printer, and we kind of went through the initial setup of it. But it looks like Brad's going to come back, and we're going to do another series of instructional videos with that in my studio. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I also did an interview with Sean Beeson. I'd have to say he's the wizard of sound and music. And I asked him his thoughts on 3D audio and what he would do as a composer now that we've got VR coming out. So I think he had some very interesting ideas and perceptions of what is going to be happening in the future. Plus, check out his barn. He converted his square barn into his studio. It's kind of funny. He mentions in today's world, you don't need a lot of equipment, and it shows.
It's the truth.
But man, if you've never listened to what he's put out, he's amazing, and I hope he gets a lot more work in this VR world. We're going to see a lot of neat stuff. So very cool. On that note, Phil, I would like you to finish it off for us today. Sorry again for being late, but I think late seems to be in my agenda. Actually, I did get here on time, but like everything else, when you've got tons of equipment, you try to set it up, it never works properly.
Yeah, especially when every time you go to a new place with equipment, it's going to take longer than you wanted. It's like a universal truth.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I wanted to see Julius Caesar. I'm going to pop my camera back over. He's over here in the corner.
There he is.
He's really quiet. So
Yep.
let me head back on over there and see if he's available. There you go. Actually, there he is. See him? He's got his head popped up over there. Say hi, Julius.
He's helping you debug some shaders right now, I think.
So I'm going to pan the camera out. I'm in the office lab studio of Occipital here in San Francisco.
It is all of those things.
Yep. And there's the ubiquitous brick wall that was behind Phil, but I noticed that a lot of the pictures of Jeff. And then over there's the other side. So it looks like a long corridor. You know the history of this building, Phil? I mean, you're in the pier, right?
Yeah, well, we're about a block away from the ballpark here. And yeah, we don't really know a ton about, just used to be big old warehouse, and now it's been chopped up into live workspaces. We have a little area up here that has an air mattress on it.
Which area?
Right up here, the little up top, right behind you, above that second fridge.
Is there an air mattress?
That's the Nicholas Burris suite. Occasionally someone gets flights a little bit too late or too early or delayed or something, so they have to crash in the Burris suite up there.
So Nick is here, right? One of the Nick is here.
Yes, Nicholas Tisserand is here.
Okay, and then the other one, they were both from France, if I remember correctly?
That's right. Nicholas Burris is in Spain these days, but he works remotely from Spain. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. He's French, but he's in Spain.
That's right.
Okay, and then the other Nicholas, which I've had on our show, almost a year now, is from France as well.
Also from France, yep. And he lives here. He actually lives across the street from the office, the lucky so-and-so.
Oh, man, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, I also met his wife, Claire, if I remember correctly, and she did a translation for me for a person from Quebec, Canada, who designs little fantasy figures. So that was kind of fun.
That was nice of her.
I did both a French version and an English translation version from her.
Very cool.
She acted out the part and everything. So, it was really fun. So with that being said, I really appreciate for those of you who are joining us today. And I guess I'm going to call it quits. Head out back to Berkeley. I'm doing a few scans. I think I sent a couple of out to you. We're staying in a hotel designed by Julia Morgan. Are you familiar with her? She's the one that did Hearst Castle.
Oh, really?
Yes, so very expensive.
That's interesting.
So if you've never been over to Berkeley, geez, I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it in the show notes. Really neat hotel if you like early 1900 architecture done by Julia Morgan.
I'm very interested in the Hearst Castle.
But, same kind of architecture. In fact, some of the things I'm wondering which was designed first. There's also a very nice swimming pool, which Hearst Castle is well known for. I have a feeling this one came first, very similar. And many of the people just joined the club so that they can use the heated pool. So on that note, I'd like to say goodbye. And more importantly, Happy New Year. It's 2015. And it looks like it's going to be another exciting year in 3D. It's funny. Some of the pundits said that 3D is dead. Don't believe them. It is still growing. It is still strong. And there's a lot of stuff coming out there that I can't tell you about. Okay, on that, goodbye.
Adios.